And introduce Colonel Don Ballard. Colonel Ballard and I have only emailed each other back when I was a major as the XO for 3rd Battalion, 4th Marines. And I got to meet him today and his son that came out and joined him from Kansas City, Missouri. I just kind of find it a privilege, and I guys want you to know something. When we stood up at attention, and Sergeant Major Burton called attention on deck when we marched in here, we didn't do that for me. We did that for Colonel Ballard's medal around his neck, and in recognition of who he is as quite frankly, as a sailor. But I jealously say I consider him a Marine as well, and I'm calling him a colonel because he's an Army colonel. And so he has a long, illustrious career. Born in 1945 in Missouri. When the Vietnam War kicked off, he enlisted into the United States Navy, had a great program, and fate, irony, you name the reason. He ended up coming through Camp Schwab, through Okinawa, on his way to Vietnam with one of our historical battalions that just so happens to fall under us right now, down in Australia, the 3rd Battalion, 4th Marine Regiment. He was first assigned to Headquarters and Service Company, like many corpsmen are when they first joined the battalion, and he was in 3-4 H&S Company, and then they farmed him out to Mike Company for some operations down in Vietnam, which ultimately, during crisis, he was awarded the Medal of Honor. And to me, his heroism, who he is as a sailor, and quite frankly, I consider him a Marine, and I know you do as well. We want to welcome him, and he's here to talk to us today to tell us his story. We want to give him a warm Camp Schwab Navy and Marine Corps welcome. Colonel?
Can you hear me in the back? Too bad. Now that humor was, and you'll see a lot of levity out of my speech today because I'm a corpsman. And I have PTSD, so don't work with me. Got a lady present. Don't mess with me. Do I need this thing?
Well, it helps because we're recording it. So.
Oh, you're recording. That's too bad. Somebody said corpsman up, and I responded. You know, we didn't have 911 back then. But I'm here today as an opportunity, kind of my outreach program to help what we just honored today as a program to help prevent suicide, prevent PTSD, and prevent complications that are associated with that. Now, you're not going to prevent PTSD. All of us, if you've ever had a uniform on, hell, I had PTSD when I got off the bus under the yellow footprints. Right? That was a shocker, wasn't it? Well, I didn't have to go through everything you guys did as a corpsman. How many corpsmen do we have in there today? Let's see a show of hands. All right. Okay, the Marines wanted a few good men and they found them. Corpsmen. Yeah, that's right. I don't rank you, I take rank. Now, what I was starting to say a while ago is I use levity to help me deal with my post-traumatic stress, okay? I'm not here as a counselor. I'm not here trying to do anything except advising because that reminded me I spent my entire life since Vietnam trying to help Marines and Army guys too sometimes deal with post-traumatic stress. It's a common thing. Don't feel that you are isolated with that. All of us have post-traumatic stress, okay? It's the D that causes the problem. If it's a disorder where you're not able to function properly, or you have suicidal tendencies, or you have some kind of problem dealing with it, then you need help. There's nothing wrong with that. In my day, if we admitted that we were screwed up, guess what? You know, we were treated differently. Gradually, over the years, we've learned that the leadership of the green machine had to identify that his guys and gals had traumatic stress, and they had to deal with it. Thanks to the corpsmen that we trained thanks to the corpsman that was always there for you Marines, we're improving. But it's an ongoing process. Just like in Vietnam, we taught first aid and buddy aid because the corpsman can't be everywhere all the time. Sometimes I'd be a dentist, I'd be a counselor, I'd be whatever shingle I'd hang out that day because I was not in the chain of command. I didn't have to report to the colonel. I didn't have to tell him how screwed up you were. So we had a great relationship between the Navy and the Marines at the time, simply because we were on your side. We're there for you. Corpsmen love Marines, and we all understand that there's no greater love than the Marines and their corpsmen. That's, the day that I earned the medal is a day in the life of a normal corpsman doing his job that was called on to do things that he had no control over. I don't know if I had suicidal tendencies that day, but I also know that I had Marines to take care of, and I did the best job I could, and, it could have gotten me killed. I was wounded 8 times, thank you, Marines, for protecting me. If I'm doing my job, I can't protect myself, you see. You want me to come over and use both hands to work on you to save your life, well, you better be taking care of us, you know what I mean? So, just keep that in mind. You want Doc around, you better take care of him. Okay, well, it's a good relationship. I wish I was back. I look at the faces, and gosh, you were the same ages that we were sitting in a similar facility back, 300 years ago. When I came through Camp Schwab. And Charles B. Schwab, I'll never forget that name because they wouldn't let me, first of all. Back in our day, in order for us to get any kind of off-base liberty or any privileges we had, we couldn't let everybody go, so we had a procedure and a test. I think Sergeant Major came up with it, was if you didn't know, a disqualifier, I'll call it. If you didn't know everything about Charles B. Schwab, you didn't get liberty. I know what high school he went to. I know everything about Oklahoma City that he lived in and grew up in. I know Charles Schwab. Never met him, but I'm probably a walking, talking machine. And 3 years ago, I went to Oklahoma City to the Marine Corps League that was honoring a Marine. Little did I know that it was Charles Schwab's grave. So, and his league was named after Charles Schwab. So I met his family. Now, what a reunion that was, to be able to tell his family what the Marines thought of Charles Schwab and how much respect we had. I didn't go into the fact that he didn't give me liberty because I didn't know it. But it was very impressive to that family that we cared. And it demonstrated the love that we have for each other. It doesn't matter anything about where you're from, what nationality, what religious beliefs, anything. When you're a Marine, you're a Marine. And when you're a corpsman, and you were joined the Marine Corps, you're a Marine corpsman. Now we had hospitalmen that didn't do anything; they stayed on the blue side. And then we had the Navy that came on the green side and became corpsmen. We called them Doc in our day. I still go by Doc today because it's a prestigious name for a Doc. When I introduced myself while I go to the corpsman, I said, "Hey Doc, how you doing, Doc?" Because that is, in my terminology, in my appreciation, a very prestigious title. I earned it. Now Colonel pays me better, but my friends call me Doc. So all I want you to know is that relationship lives for eternity. I have plenty of friends. The majority of them are Marines. They still need help even when they get out. So I always have that bond. And you're developing that bond right now in the relationships that you're living through, being challenged by. It's very important that you create those bonds between Marine on Marine, Marine on corpsman, corpsman with Marines. When we went back to the blue side, I don't know how many corpsmen in here went to the blue side, but it sucked. We wanted to be Doc again. We wanted to be something different than a name on a duty roster, you know? And when you go back to the blue side, you're with everybody else that are like type corpsman, and there's no benefits. You're just another name on the duty roster, you see? So we love the name Doc. We love being with Marines. We had a purpose, we had family, and there's no greater love. Why would a corpsman risk his life for you? I mean, that's a job, but how well do we have to do it? Come on. You know what I mean? I had General Walt coming out of the Marine Corps the day I was awarded this medal, and he was reading, they read the citation that I calmly arose and continued to treat the Marine. He asked me about that. I said, well, it's hard to get up on your pants when you defecated in your pants. Not quite what I said, but anyway, your pants was full of crap. You know, you didn't get up too fast. Because I done did it all over myself. But anyway, it is a love. It is an understanding that I look back on it and I think, I had a wife and 2 kids. Hell, I wanted to get home as much as anybody did. And for me to risk my life, I was just doing the job. But more importantly, I was taking care of the guys that I love. My family, the guys I care about, the guys that saved me. I had been wounded 8 times, like I told you. I had Marines come to my aid and kill the bastards, so I didn't die. You know, again, if I'm doing my job, I can't defend myself. So they took care of me, I'm damn sure going to take care of them. That's the law, the bond. It continues after you get back out of combat. You have post-traumatic stress. I guarantee it. You cannot have an experience without having post-traumatic experience. If you break all those words down, post meaning what? Past, traumatic. Well, it was traumatic when I got on those yellow footprints, right? An experience. So, you know, the issue is you're going to have it. You cannot be in combat without having a fear factor. My son right now is a Lance Corporal, LARs, LAVs at Camp Pendleton. And he's getting ready to deploy. He'll probably be over here shortly. And he was, I said, right after boot camp, I went to his graduation boot camp, and he said, I asked him, how are you feeling? Are you liking being a Marine? He said, well, I got this lump in my throat, and it's hard for me to breathe. And I said, swallow it, it's your asshole. I was quick to give him a straw and tell him to suck it up, you know? All right. And he likes the Marines now because it's easier than living with Dad. No great love. Anyway, I'm here for you today. I'm wearing a shirt, a one-of-a-kind, that was given to me by a Marine friend of mine, a Vietnam guy. He was old Papa Smoke. He would come to our rescue. The thing that we had in Vietnam was different than any other war was we had no ground ambulances in the bush. We had to depend on the bird. If the bird would not fly or could not fly because of the weather, guess what? That changed our entire treatment. We went from scoop and run to stabilization before transportation. So we actually developed what is known today on the streets in civilian life as the EMT paramedic program. They did not exist before Vietnam. So I think we look back on Vietnam and we say, surely there was something good out of Vietnam that we can hang our hat on. And I contribute my treatment and training and everything that I lived with and grew up with and tried and practiced on Marines, because that's what GI had Joe is. You know, we practice on it. Airway management, controlling hemorrhage, treat for shock, any of the ABCs and further, you know, was so important for us to learn more than what we were taught in school. You know, school is just what it is. It helps you get focused. But you don't learn until you get really into the field and practice it. But you can't go straight to practice. You have to have some basic knowledge that's understandable and some attitude that gives you choices. You know, if this exists, then this is what you do. If that exists, that's what you do. That's what schooling is all about. You're here transitioning, getting ready to go over and defend our country. What greater love? There is no greater. In my opinion, you're the finest that the military has to offer today. You need training, you need experience, you need quality leadership, but you have, but you also need the family. Because you cannot function and live on that battlefield by yourself. How many of you can do CPR? Okay. How many of you can do it on yourself? Huh? Not very well, okay. Point made. You can't do it by yourself. That's why self-aid, buddy aid, and everything was designed is to give you a better chance of survival on the battlefield. Now you guys are, the corpsmen today are much more advanced trained, have better technique. We never had quick clock in our day. We didn't have the techniques and some of the procedures and some of the equipment and technology that you have today. I've been to Fort Sam, Houston. I've audited their class. I was impressed with the amount of training that they give. I was against it in the very beginning. I did not want to lower the Navy standards to the Army standards. I thought if the Army wanted to come up to the Navy standards, okay, let's do it at Great Lakes. No, they wanted to do it at Fort Sam, weather-wise, and I don't know what else. But anyway, the Army wanted to talk, the point toss. But the whole issue is now the Army is getting trained up for the first time. When I first got in the Army, E6, E7 could not suture. They were not authorized to suture or intubate or start an IV. That's why the people die on the battlefield. Corpsman, we were talking about on the way down there. I had to know that before I became an E4. If you didn't know that as an E3, you weren't carrying your load. Just so you know that there's another side of points. All of us have a job in this great theme of protecting a country. But if you're a mechanic and you screw up, if you're a cook and you screw up, well, but if you're a doc and you screw up, you cost somebody their life. Hello, it's a damn serious job out there. And we have to take the job serious if we want to come home. There are no friendlies over there. The only friendly you have is a guy to your left and to your right. Not only today, but certainly in the battlefield. If you develop a relationship with caring, you have to demonstrate that first. You can't walk into a unit and say, oh, these are my buddies, they're going to take care of me. Bull. You have to be and demonstrate equal love to them before they'll extend it to you. Otherwise, you're just a drunk. 0311. How many 0311 have you got in there? 2 of you. LAR, LAVs. Oh, that's what my son does. So, in any case, it's all the same job. If you believe the same way, it doesn't matter what your uniform looks like, what rank you have on it, what skin color you got, you're going to die if you don't have the support that you need when you need it. Okay? Take care of your point. I would offer anything to the class here, and I don't really know what to say, except you remind me of sitting in this similar class. Like I said, it seemed like it was 300 years ago, but, you know, we didn't know what to expect. I never met a Medal of Honor recipient until I became one. Never wanted to. Too close to the situation, you know what I mean? I never saw anybody over the rank of captain. Who the hell needs that, you know? Why would I want to go see the captain? You know, captains were God. Actually, Sergeant Majors, but I'll rank him. But anyway, we had, I know things change. I know attitudes change. I know personality change. But I'm thankful for the team that we just honored up here. You've got a tremendous job. I thank you for it. I've been following it in the development of that for a long time, trying to get some initiative started. Just for the leadership to understand that we've got a treatable problem is the first mindset that we have to overcome. The second one is getting the soldiers to agree that he's got a problem and seek out help without shame. I'm standing here telling you I'm screwed up. I've got PTSD. If you can't admit it, then I feel sorry for you because you're not going to get treatment, okay? So don't think that's a shameful situation. It's a smart guy that wants to survive that says, I'm screwed up in the head, I got to find help. Your first line of defense is talking to other Marines and other corpsmen that's walked in your shoes, that understand you. I'm going to open it, with your permission, to offer any kind of questions. If I know chances are you're a bump on the log here today and you won't raise your hand because you don't want to be embarrassed. But if you've got a question for a corpsman that served in Vietnam, you've got a question for a Vietnam veteran in itself, if you've got a question for a Medal of Honor recipient, now's the time to ask it because you'll probably never see it again. So stand on your feet if you got a question. Yes, sir.
Sir, can you pretty early with 43 Regiment? Why'd you join the Army?
That's a good question. The question is, why did I join the Army? At the post-Vietnam, we had an excess of Navy corpsmen that they were letting out early. I made E6, but there was no chance for me to pin it because there was no slots available. And it might be 2 years before I could see the promotion. And I worked orthopedic and neurosurgery during the day, and in the afternoon I had an outpatient clinic, and it was multi-service hospital, so we had Army that was being treated there as well. This Army recruiter came in, and is there any recruiters in it then? I wouldn't raise my hand either. They're all liars, And I told that guy, I said, you're full of crap. But if it's in writing, I'll stand a better chance. So I went down and signed up in the Army because they guaranteed me that I could go to OCS. And if I was going to be there, I might as well get paid for it. I had 3 years of college. In the Army at that time, you only had to have 2 years of college under bootstrap. The old brown shoe. But bootstrap, 2 years of college, be E5 and above, and you could do a lateral transfer. So I did that. I literally got out of the Navy in about, I got out early because I had a lot of basket leave, which we had the cumulative leave. So I got out and turned all my stuff in, went home, waiting, but I'd already signed up in the Army, took my oath, only waiting for me to report for OCS when I was called to the White House. That's a call that's unusual. It should be talked about. Did I answer your question? So I joined the Army because the opportunity prevailed. It offered me a commission, and if you love the service, that's what my motivation was to stay active. I also had PTSD. I wanted to stay active. Nobody in the civilian world understands anything about you. They think you're screwed up in the first place, so you better stay with people that understand you. So I couldn't stay in first of all, let me back up again, I did not like the blue side, all right? Now, if you guarantee me I stay with the green side, I might consider it. Oh yeah, we'll send you to the submarine. How green is that? No thanks. Anyway, I didn't see anything on my schedule of the journey of life that was going to keep me in the Navy. So I was either going to get out or when it prevailed that I could join the Army, which is, I thought, similar to the Marines, green, out in the bush, It's nothing like the Marine Corps, I'm going to tell you. Nothing. It's the poorest example of Marine Corps intelligence, and that's an oxymoron in itself. But, what a way to go. I wouldn't recommend it to anybody, except I did have a lot of fun. I was a dumbass second lieutenant, and I used it to my advantage. What do you expect? Anyway, that's why I joined the Army. Any other questions? Yes, sir.
Yeah, Lieutenant Colonel Black, 2 questions. One, when the Army plays the Navy in the football game, who do you cheer for?
The cold beer.
Sidestepping the question, sir. And then second, can you tell us one of the funniest memories you have from the Vietnam War?
Okay, now the second question was, what kind of memories?
One of the funniest things. I think one of the things that's most enlightening is I think you could really tell a lot about people just by asking them what was one of the funniest memories that they have. So throughout all that hardship and pain in Vietnam, can you think of one or two things that really pop out and stand in your memory as a good memory?
There was nothing. The only thing I could foster in any kind of an attempt to answer that question is the love for our comrades, our buddies. I was in a bad area in Vietnam as we lost 70%. By the way, the journals now, all the staff journals of Vietnam have been released. You know, they've been declassified. I went to my last reunion and they pointed out that 70% of our battalion was lost. I didn't have a good day. The only thing I can remember that I can reflect back on would be we had a corpsman who took my place and got killed. But prior to that time, he was a funny guy. And I recall having a couple of laughs with him because of his culture before he joined. He was from Tennessee and he had that Tennessee drawl, you know, not Southern, but Tennessee Southern, you know what I mean? Anyway, we always laughed with him and at him, depending on his attitude. But he took my job that day that I got the medal and the day he got killed. I'm a senior corpsman and he didn't like talking on the radio. So I stayed to medevac the patients and he stayed with the unit. And the unit got pretty much wiped out and I joined them after the battle. So I missed treating him, missed being there for him. I carry that to my grave. If I had anything, it's survival guilt. You know, that we lived, I lived, and somebody else didn't. And you're laying there in my arms and you die and, you know, I failed you somehow. I did submit in his honor, in his name, a deal to, him and the lieutenant got along real well, I think, for some other reason. But they joked a lot more than anybody in the unit, which was okay. Like I said, I just wanted to be myself. I was not outgoing, I was not overly funny. I just wanted to be by myself, leave me the hell alone type of guy, you know. It wasn't until they threw this around my neck that I had to learn how to speak, talk to groups, you know. That was a tremendous challenge. But in his honor, I submitted a deal to Reader's Digest back then, had a whole series of military humor. It was called Humor in Uniform. And the lieutenant, one of the arguments that he always had was the lieutenant, when they got into pissing contest, excuse my French. If you don't know French, you won't understand it anyway. But they had a pissing contest, so the lieutenant said, if you don't shut that hell up, I'll clean it up a little bit, then I'm going to send you out on one-man LP. One-man listening code, right? And the doc said, there you are, you dumbass lieutenant. You don't know that there is no such thing in a foreman's world as a one-man LP. I'm a lieutenant. You're only a squid. You don't understand. There is such thing as a one-man LP. Where do we get on? He says, because it'll take 5 of your Marines to take me out there and hold me down. There'll be 6 of us there. So he brought it home. Yeah. And we had, of course, one of the biggest laughter that I ever had is anybody screw with the corpsman, guess what? You got to burn the shitters. That was funny.
Sir Chaplain Johnson, Division Chaplain. What advice did you give your son upon him entering the service?
What advice? I've got another son right here that's going to join the Marines. I believe the military is a family-owned business. We pass it from generation to generation. Hardly ever do we get newbies, wannabes. So I think I grew up with the attitude of knowing what to expect. I tried to impress upon Adam and Ryan and our kids. I had another son that was in the Navy. just, you know, how tough it is. If prior planning prevents poor performance, right? So I tried to give them a heads up of what to expect, but I also told them the good, wrong, bad, and the ugly. Here's what, you know, same speech I just gave a few minutes ago, basically. He heard it several times. You know, love your other guy, take care of your other guy. That's all you got. That's it. Forget about chain of command, forget about this, forget about that. You have to be mindful of it. But when you're standing there and the bullets are flying, the only thing you have is each other. Take care of each other. Which it really don't matter. You get wasted right there. Nothing else matters. They won't say much over your coffee. They don't understand. Civilians don't get it. So the advice was, as I said earlier, he's going to make a career out of the Marine Corps because he didn't like living at home with me. I screamed and hollered at him once in a while. You know, I colonelized him, you know. He was glad to get in the Marines. Did I answer your question? Good advice was that you would give any relative that you loved and cared about. Keep your head down, do what you're told. Don't volunteer for a damn thing. You know, if they ask you if you got a license, driver's license, don't raise your hand because you'll be pushing a wheelbarrow. You know, you'll be on picking up butts on the cigarette butts. You know, do not volunteer for nothing. You guys have already learned that, I hear. Right? Any other questions?
Sir, Senior Chief of Care, 3rd Recon Battalion.
Earl.
Do you mind sharing your experience about how you received the Medal of Honor from the White House?
I will. I'll try to short for brevity because we ain't got for one day here, right? I had no idea that I was even put in for the Medal of Honor. I got out of the Navy, pat them and happy, and said, you know, I'm going to go in the Army. I'm going to take you back in time. We had no cell phones. The only communication we had at the time was one of those phones that had a tail on it, hooked to the wall. I saw that on YouTube the other night. Anyway, an old-fashioned phone. Matter of fact, it hung on the wall. My mother had to get up out of the chair to go answer it. You know, one of those dubious tasks if you're going to talk on the phone. So when I left the Navy, the only number I had, of course, was her phone number. So I gave her, because I'm still in the military, I turned everything in, I was getting out. So, but I still had some responsibility if the balloon went up again, you know, or whatever. So I gave my mother's phone number. My mother got a phone call. I went over, took the family over, went on and had Sunday lunch, Sunday dinner, and she said, we got a phone call from the Navy today. Oh, okay. Here's the phone number. I called them back, and I loaded trucks while I was going to college, finishing my 4th year, and I was also loading trucks, you know, for spending money, paying the rent and stuff. So I went back to the warehouse that next day. On my lunch hour, I called the Navy. It turned out to be a Navy recruiter who said, well, I see your name come up on a retention list, and we'd like to talk you into staying. If you don't like being a corpsman, then we can transfer you to another MOS, you know, do something else. No, I like being a corpsman, I'm just not interested. I didn't tell him I was already in the Army. I just said, I'm not interested, thank you very much. I didn't think it was smart to divulge too much. You know, when the lieutenant's standing there asking you questions, you answer just the question that was asked. Don't elaborate. Well, I felt the same way then. I just answered the question. I am not sorry, but I am not interested. He said, well, can I call you back if I've got some other opportunities that you might want to hear about? I said, help yourself, but I'm not interested. Okay. So a couple weeks go by, maybe 3 weeks, and my mother repeats the scenario, says, I got a call from the Navy today. Oh, yeah, okay. I blew it off. You know, I didn't want to talk to him about it. Another week or two goes by. She reminds me, she said, did you ever call that guy from the Navy? I said, yeah. Well, I want you to call him again, and this time tell him to quit calling here. He's called about 8 times, and, you know, I don't feel like getting up and walking over and answering the phone. Yes, Mom. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. Mom's in charge, you know. So I have more marching orders now. So I call that Navy guy, expecting to tell him off. And he says, just a minute, I got somebody who wants to talk to you. Well, Captain got on the phone, and he says, where are you right this minute? I said, I'm in a warehouse. I'm loading trucks. I'm on my lunch hour. He said, we're coming to get you. I said, for what? I kept thinking, what the hell did I do that I'd have the Navy chasing me down? I stole my 45 out of Vietnam, and I thought, oh shit, they caught me. I'll give it back if that's what it is. So I could not for nothing. So he says, the Admiral wants to talk to you. I don't need to talk to no stinking Admiral. What the hell do I want to talk to an Admiral for? I'm a civilian, or close to it. Okay. Well, I didn't agree, but here's this battleship gray, Second World War, old sedan pulls up out front, two the Navy officers get out in all the pearly whites. They come and I get a page over the system that says, come to the front office. Well, I go to the front office and there's two Navy guys. They said, the Admiral's waiting for you. I said, well, good. So, he said, well, you're coming with us. That's what it means. Oh, fine. Hey, look, I guess I will. And so I get in there. They walk in. Now they're in uniform. I'm standing there working, work clothes. And they report to the captain. And the captain, I'm standing there. I don't want to tell you. Anyway, he says, you come right up my face, Probably, I'm supposed to right here. I'm supposed to know you right now. He said, son, do you realize that we've been trying to get a hold of you for 6 weeks? Yes, sir, I am. I said, I told him where, but I told him I wasn't interested. I told second class, whoever, reservist or whoever it was. I said, I told him I wasn't interested. His jaw dropped. He says, I cannot go back and tell the President of the United States that you're not interested in getting the Medal of Honor. Now my jaw dropped. He says, you didn't know you were put into the medal? I said, hell, I didn't know it. I know. I thought a Silver Star or something, but had no idea. He said, well, I've got 2 days to get you in front of the White House or it's my ass. I said, I completely understand the program. And he says, oh, you got a good looking uniform. I said, yes, sir. I just bought it at Fort Riley. It's an Army uniform. The Admiral comes in and he says to the captain, he says, that boy is not going to get a damn Navy Medal of Honor and an Army uniform on my watch. I'm not saying it quite like he did. So they issued me a brand new Navy uniform, all spit polished, looked better than anything I've ever owned. I'm going to see the man, So I go back to being a second class corpsman, and they fly my family up there. I mean, literally, that was going to be his last call. They were chasing me down to get my butt in front of the president. I had no idea. Well, that's how I learned I was getting the medal. Thanks, Chief. Any other questions? I did explain to, I have several times since then, that there would have been more medals of honor issued out. You look at these citations today and you say, geez, what do you have to do to get the Medal of Honor? Some of these citations, Navy Cross, Silver Star, hell, I'd have given them a Medal of Honor, especially when the guy died. What difference does it make, And they argue about the last Medal of Honor involvement I had was the guy that jumped on a grenade, and then they said, well, he was dead first. He'd been shot. And some asshole in the Pentagon is making judgment calls on the battlefield. So, sorry, Chaplain. I know you know a little bit about anatomy and physiology, so that controls the body part. That's the most important body part you have.
What's the problem?
Just ask the colonel. I'll tell you. So in any case, the guy died, subsequently jumped on the hand grenade, but somebody in the house up there said, no, he was dead first and just fell. We're not going to give him the Medal of Honor. Okay, come on, you're cutting hair, And it was for the rest of us, more than it was for him, to honor somebody that would do that. How the hell does this guy in the Common Powers know what went on that day in that combat action? It just shows that they don't support us. If you think the government supports you, talk to my relatives, they're Native Americans. They didn't take care of us. They treated us bad. Took our land. You know, any of you got to talk about prejudice? There is no prejudice as far as I'm concerned. I hate all of you. We should have sunk down 4 ships when we had a chance. But you know your history is sad. Remember Christopher Thomas? We should have sunk those damn ships. We would have had a few more generations. Okay. Anyway, that's my answer. And again, on that same note, I tell everybody today that there'd be a lot more medal honors given out, a lot more awards. Marines are not good at giving out awards. You see the Army, hell, I've gotten 8 times the award of being in the Army than I did in combat in the Marines. Hello, go figure. But I always come to your defense and I said, well, it's because they broke their career orders. Now, we can get away with saying that because we're not. If you want a short arm inspection, we'll have that in about 10 minutes. None of you even know what a short arm inspection is today. Thank God they did away with that. How embarrassing. But in any case, we do have your shop records. Even in electronic, we can still screw with you. If you want your shots all over again, just mess with the doc, and we'll make sure you get taken care of it. How about another question? I'm getting paid a lot of money to be here today,
Dr. Morton, sir, Sergeant Major sent you out, Division Sergeant Major. So you talked about post-traumatic stress. So regarding us that, veterans, OEF and OIF, and some still forward deployed, with regards to transitioning out of the civilian sector, how do you see the assistance rendered to veterans who have PTS out there, vice us who are still staying in the Corps and in the Navy, receiving the same treatment? So is there a disparity? Do you see it changing for the better?
Okay. Good question. And it's an involved question because up until recently, there was no civilian support. You were on your own. If you couldn't find a job, tough shit, you know? And, it just made it very difficult for the guy coming home. I think that's contributing a lot to the suicide rate that we're experiencing. The programs that you've instilled, the programs that the Navy put in place through the Corps, all these programs are there because of need. And we don't know what we're doing. We're just helping you. No psychologist, no psychiatrist can help you. Only thing they can do is make you aware internally in your own mind as to what you should be thinking about, how to react to those situations, and how to move on with your own life. They're not going to write a prescription to make you go get well. There's no treatment that they can give you. You do 20 push-ups a day and 4, whatevers. The point is that you have to help yourself. Now, I say that, but you also have to get, because you're not qualified to help yourself, okay? So you have to surround yourself with people that are better off than you are. It's always easy to find somebody worse off than you are. They'll go to the VA, go to the hospital. But the attitude in the units are, hey, don't be ashamed. Admit it. Say, look, I'm having some challenges. I don't think I'm, feeling, don't be a malingerer. Don't drag the unit down. We still have mission to do. Mission is what you're here for. Whatever that is, mission. Short of that, and you signed up to support the mission, whatever that is, including paying the blank check for your life. That's what you agreed to do. And that's what we need to do. I know it's shocking to do. But yeah, you might get killed in this job. But you stand a better chance if you love the other guys, if you understand the other guys, you work with the other guys, you get them to respond with respect and work with you. And it's a mutual understanding. There is no answers. There's no answers. You want to seek out help, whether it's in uniform. If you go to the civilians, care less about you. I mean, they're at Walmart. You're at war. They're at Walmart. So the attitude has to be, find people that understand, find people that are willing to listen to you, find people that have had similar experiences, or at least have talked to enough people that they have some knowledge base to work off of. Because civilians can't help you. Matter of fact, they look down on you if you're a screwed up vet, you see. So forget that. They weren't there they have never been here to support us. Never. Don't think they're going to start now. You have to look internal. You have to look to the help that's being created for your benefit. But it's like knocking on the door. If you don't go up and knock on the door, no one's going to let you in. You got to be willing to go up and say, I'd like to talk. Or maybe I've got a problem. Maybe I do, maybe I don't. I don't know. But how do you know? You're not qualified. You do understand because you know your body more than anybody else sitting in this classroom. You know what your body's telling you. And if it's not telling you the right thing, then you need to be asking for help. It's not a shameful thing. I ask for help right now. There's not a one of you in this room that can help me, you see. But I can help you. I get pleasure, I get satisfaction on helping you. Well, I'm here today. If I say one of you, I got one of you to think about something that you wouldn't have thought about, then I feel like I did my job. That's what corpsmen are trained to do. That's what chaplains are trained to do. We're here for you. We're not here for ourselves. Takes a special personality to do those jobs. We're not hardcore. We'll never make the command sergeant major. We'll never make whatever. I had a big transition going to the officer world because my first OER, which is an evaluation report, they said, my battalion commander, full bird colonel, called me into his battalion office and said, "You like being a lieutenant?" I think I was getting promoted to captain or something, I said, "Well, I did, but if you got something else better." And he says, "No, that's not what I'm talking about." He says, "We're getting complaints from the sergeant majors that you're fraternizing with the troops." I thought fraternizing meant different things. We had no women in the unit, by the way. And I certainly wouldn't go anywhere else. But I misunderstood, or he misunderstood what fraternizing interpretation was. He said, "You're going to have to decide whether you want to be an officer or you want to remain an enlisted guy." Oh, okay. I mean, he painted me a picture that I can't be an officer and act away with the guys that I acted when I was their rank. You see, when you guys are screwing off, you don't want the officer sitting around watching you because he's going to see you tomorrow. You know what I mean? So I had to learn to get up halfway through my evening and leave. Go drink by myself. Most of the officers just didn't get it, because they come in as officers. They don't understand the Mustang. They don't understand the development of the enlisted turning into becoming officer. So I was blessed, but almost traumatized when I had to decide whether I was going to be an officer and act like it or I was going to stay as an enlisted guy. I hope that answered your question, is that nobody understands you. Nobody. You have to seek help. The officers don't understand you unless they've been there, but they still never walked in your boots, you see. The officer knows these men, but he still hasn't been down there doing the shit, You know what I mean? But a good officer identifies that and understands not to expect more from his troops than he can possibly gain. Same with your position. You've been there. You know what people should be able to do, but not everybody has the stamina that you have, Not everybody has the mental capacity to deal with trauma as you did. Not everybody's going to be sergeant major. Not everybody's going to be an officer. All of us can be a Marine doing their job. Any other questions? Yes, sir.
In the week, chaplain, it's been said that war is hell. You've never seen the worst side of that. in that day, did you have any apprehension when your son decided to join the military? And if so, how did you overcome that?
Okay, did everybody hear the question? Well, see hands, it didn't. Okay. So how did I deal with my son wanting to join the service? I was proud, number one, that he wanted to serve. I was all for apprehensive because, men get it, women not so much. The mother side of the female, protective, that says, I don't want my son to die. Well, what mother in hell wants their son to die? Come on, wake up. So the whole attitude is there's that understanding of manhood, if you will. You're a man today. No matter what age you are, you go home right now, you're the man. You can't go back to high school. You can't go back to the old beer joint. You cannot go back and find friends that you can relate to. They do not understand you. Now the countries are better off, a whole lot better off because we had them. And you're a man today. You have manly responsibilities, not only to the family, but to this country. And I thank you, before I go any farther, I thank you for your willingness to serve. We wouldn't have a country if it wasn't for people like you. Nobody understands you. That was my point I made earlier. I had apprehension, but I also wanted him to pay attention. I wanted him to listen to the leadership. I wanted him to listen to the corpsman. I wanted him to listen how to survive. I don't care if you get wounded. Actually, that's not a correct statement. I don't care that you get PTSD. That's not a correct statement. I don't care if that's what happens. I'll still be here to love them. It's okay. But let's be smart about it. Don't go jumping on grenades. Just be smart. Pay attention. I survived Vietnam because I paid attention. We used to have, we had an escape and evasion school. Matter of fact, it's right here on this island, some damn place up north. But anyway, where we learned how to approach our own dead bodies. Marines go and get their bodies. Unlike the Army, any Army pukes in there, I'll tell you the same thing. They'll rot before the Army goes back and gets them. The Marines are no man left behind. How do you know that guy's dead? Do you want to be the guy out there? None of us do, but if you are, you want to make sure somebody's going to care enough to come looking for you. We lost more people going after our bodies because the damn enemy knew we were coming back. They ambushed us. But it was all voluntary. Nobody made you go out and get the body. We'd ask the first shirt, the top, give us some people. And I was the only foreman in the unit, so I guess I did get voluntold to go, because no, you guys can't do a damn thing without a foreman. You can't even put a flag on a mountain without having a foreman tell you what's in the flag. I look. I can get away with saying that because you love it. You better. I got your shot. Anyway, so I had apprehension, but I also told him how to survive. How to survive, Ryan. How to survive. Learn to survive. If you don't do that, you contribute nothing to the world, to this country, to yourself, to our family. Learn to survive. Learn to take care of. Part of that process is taking care of your buddies, because they're going to take care of you. That's part of survival skill. When we got to Vietnam, I could give a shit less that it was North fighting the South, or East fighting the West, or it was a political civil war. The only thing I wanted was me and my Marines out of that frickin' country, alive, in as best a condition that I could.